Here are some evil rituals that used to be normal, and these are really, really evil. Let's start this list off with some racism. After the country of India was being independent from the British rule, what happened was people were divided into caste. There were major classes and there were minor classes. In the minor classes, the minority was called the OBC, other backward classes. So during that time, there was no proper drainage system and there was no proper sewers or anything like that. So the people of the OBCs, there was no plumbing, no tap water, no toilets, anything like that. So the OBCs were the people that used to pick up shit with their bare hands and they had to collect it and they had to move house by house collecting shit and they had to do this as their job. And they weren't even allowed to take water from well, and when their shadow used to fall on someone of major classes, they used to take a bath just from their shadow and they were considered as untouchables. Nobody ever touched them or got near them because they thought that they would be infected with a disease, a life-threatening one. This was racism on a whole another level. They were called scheduled caste and other backward classes. The first commission of this class started in the year 1995, which was 8 years after the independence of India from Britishers. Now the next topic that we are talking about is about sexism. We've talked about racism on a whole another level. Now let's talk about being the sexist on a whole another level, which is pure evil. It was done in the year 570, around 1400 years ago, something around that time of period. So it was a common thing. During the birth of woman, a woman was unwanted. So during that time, when a new baby child of woman, if a woman was being given birth, then people would bury their own child alive if it were a woman. This practice was done near Mecca, Medina, in Saudi Arabia. But don't worry, in that period, Prophet Muhammad was born, and throughout his journey, he would eventually find a way to ban such evil practices. Now let's go way back. This is Mughal period in 300 BCE. So during that time, the act of sati. Now, during that time, when a husband used to die, this is again a very disgusting act of sexism. I don't know who came up with these rituals and why the hell did people follow them. I mean, what kind of logic is that? So whenever a husband of a wife used to die, the wife used to atone by sitting at the top of her husband, and the wife was burned alive with her dead husband. So the wife used to be immolated after her husband died without any reason. But during that time, if a wife used to pass away, then the husband would just find a new wife. Whoever that came up with these kind of rules, and why were people following this? I have no idea. People were that stupid. To be honest, even people now are really stupid. I mean, pathetic psychopaths. On to the next thing, slavery. Now, slavery was banned in 1833. Before that time, slaves used to be so common. They used to be so much common that you could buy slaves in grocery stores just like you could buy ketchup and cheese. People's lives and oppressing other people at that time was that normal. Imagine buying someone's life that you don't even own for some money and treating that person really bad, making him do all your work for the rest of his life. It's like a prisoner. But in general, in truth, he did nothing wrong. The person who actually did the wrong was the one who sold him and the one who bought him. Now on to the next and final one. This is in this era itself, nearly 40-50 years ago. It is racism, basic racism against black people. Now we're talking about a time in which Muhammad Ali was the boxing champion of the world and he made boxing headlines, not Jake Paul. Also, hippies were there everywhere. Rock and roll was in the rise. Jimi Hendrix was still alive. Kurt Cobain was still alive. And Smells Like Teen Spirit was rocking the whole world. Yeah, that part of the time. So at that time, black people were not treated as equal. Racism exists even now, but during that time, it was really strong. Black people weren't allowed in restaurants. They were being called the N-word. And the N-word is used for slaves. It was the word that was used for slaves. African slaves who were sold and were slaves for the rest of their lives. They were treated like pests. They were treated like insects, like a dog with a rabies. No one talked to them, no one used to get any closer to them, and it was a really hard time for someone who had skin color black. So this is the list of 5 evil practices that used to be normal, and now everyone's glad that all this bullshit is banned. Finally, woo! We have evolved finally. Thank God. Thank Jesus Christ. Alright, see you. Catch you all later. Bye.